Alright, today you're going to be doing the lab called significant measurements, or measuring significant. I sometimes forget which one that is. Part A, you're going to be putting a direct mass measurement, meaning you're going to take a mass of some sort and putting it directly on the scale. The scales are already at your lab stations. You're going to put it directly on the scale, take your reading, take it off the scale, put the other mass on the scale, take it off the scale. Then you're going to take both of them and put them both on the scale, take your reading, and take them off the scale. The part 4 has you dealing with when you had them each mass on separately, taking that sum and seeing if there's a difference between when they're both on or if when they're both added separately. Sometimes there's a difference, sometimes there's not. If there's not, don't worry about it, that just happens. The second part of part A has us dealing with the measurement or measuring by difference, meaning you're going to take a measurement of the beaker on the scale, measure what the beaker is, put the mass inside the beaker, take the measurement, take the mass out, put the other mass inside the beaker, take your measurement. Now, the masses that we're using today aren't different, but the usefulness to this would be, say, if this was a powder and we didn't want to directly put the powder on the scale. So it's a tool that we can use to do something such as that. Part B has us measuring volume, which you'll be using the beaker, a graduated cylinder, and something we haven't used before, and that's the pipette. The first part is finding the volume of a beaker. You're going to just use the water out of the sink and measure 25 milliliters using your beaker. Do not, I said do not, measure 25 milliliters out of the graduated cylinder and pour it into the beaker. That doesn't give us what the lab is designed for. Measure 25 milliliters on here. There's not an increment, so you have to guess. Do your best. You do that twice, and then you will do the same thing, but you'll use the graduated cylinder and measure it up to 25. Now there is an increment for 25, so you should try to get it as close as you can. You'll do that twice. And then you're going to use a pipette. Now we haven't used a pipette before, so how we'll do this, and you're going to be asked to use 25 milliliters of pipette. We have two types of pipettes over here, which is in the 10 or the 5. Two 10s and a 5 will be the best ones to use, so you'll need one of each to work with that. I'm going to show you how to work a pipette with just the 10. Okay? The first thing that you'll do is you'll want to put the pipette on. It does not need to go all the way down to this marking. If you just put it on just barely, it should be able to hold it like that. And notice that it's still plenty of room before that thing, before that little light color. That coloring actually is just so that we can tell what the volume is. Other than that, it's not very much there. We fill it up to this very small line here. It's kind of tough to see, but that's the line that you measure it to. That line says that you have 10 milliliters, and that's plus or minus 0.02. So that's very small. Then you'll press the up arrow to pull the solution up. I have a bulb that obviously needs to get fixed, so I'll switch it out here. For a different bulb, you press the up arrow, it will pull the solution up. It's not working on this one either. I'll get another bulb so I can edit that out, I think. Bulbs are also on that cart. And again, we press the up arrow. I would suggest filling your graduated cylinder with 40 to 50 milliliters of water, and then when you take another measurement, doing the same thing. What it does is not measuring out exactly, trying to pull it up, and you get air bubbles in there, and it's just really a pain. So you pull up. What is going on here? not work. Oops, sometimes that happens. Another pipette, put it on, pull the solution up, there you go, now we can see it working. Again, you pull the solution up to the little line. You can kind of play around with it as best you can. Take it out, put it in the beaker. Now you have two ways. You can press the down arrow that will push the water out, or you can take the pipette bulb off and the solution will run out. Now again, you need 25 milliliters, so you'll be doing the pipette 10 mil pipette twice, the 5 mil pipette once, because that adds up to 25. For part C, you're going to be measuring the triangle. Now the lab is on your iPad, so you're going to need to use the 6-inch ruler and measure the triangle on your iPad. The triangle looks somewhat like this, and you have different parts to it, and you can make the height like that or like that. And I believe it goes A, B, and then C. From there, you measure the height. This line, vertical line here, will be the height for A and B and C. This line here can be the height for A and C, or B and C as well. It's on your iPad, I understand that. Do what you can, best that you can. If you change the orientation, it's going to change the size of the triangle. I understand that that's going to happen, but report, it's not about that, it's about measuring making good measurements. The other thing is, the same thing with the rectangle, measure that as well. The orientation will change the size of your rectangle, but whatever that is, again, it's about making good measurements. The last part is the volume of a wood block, which are found on the carts as well. They each all have a letter on them, so you let me know which one it is. This one is G, and you make measurements, the volume, so the length, width, and height of your block. You make the measurements, and then your lab partner makes the measurements. Now, if you're unfortunate enough to have a third person in your lab group, all three of you have to make these measurements. This lab does not have to be done in the order that I went over it. It just all has to be done at some point in time. You may or may not finish this lab. If you don't finish this lab, I'll see you in the morning, either tomorrow morning or Tuesday morning when we come back after the weekend. Other than that, I will forego the use of goggles today because you're looking at trying to make really good measurements, and nothing should be too detrimental if you get in your eyes, such as water. Thank you.